attention or the ability of the person to read, of a child to read, has come down dramatically. They would rather prefer a 30-second video than a 5-minute book. And it's same for all of us as well. Why reading is important is it builds the ability of the mind to imagine things, connect the unconnected. Sometimes things don't fall in place. They go back 3 pages back, 4 pages back, reread, come back and read again. It's cementing those gaps. 70 years after independence, I don't want to sound pessimistic, but 50% of India cannot read at grade level. And we see this happening with children when we do something like a Katha National Writers Workshop. The idea is to have children talk about their lived experiences. So when you start thinking of AI as an author, maybe, but the owner of the story, no. The wider the perspective, many of your own thoughts gets questioned. Many of your newer things get answered. So in the process, you develop as a leader. Stop making remarkable children markable. Let's make them remarkable again.
Hello and welcome to TALRadio podcast. Stories have helped us connect, learn, and understand this world for generations. But in today's age, endless scrolling, digital content, and AI taking over content is a question that remains. Are we going to change the way we learn? To understand it better and talk about what stories actually do for us, we have Executive Director Mr. Rajesh from Katha, an organization that spent decades to teach children through storytelling and has been changing the face of education. Hello, Mr. Rajesh. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Wonderful to be here. Thank you, Archita. I would love to be talking about this topic.
Great. I'm excited too. Tell us, sir, why Katha started and what was the inspiration behind educating kids through stories?
So the story goes back into 1988-89, which is when our founder came back from Harvard and wanted to make a change in the society. And she thought that is the education which she needs to work with. And it was in the slums of Govindpuri. Govindpuri is a place in Delhi. And when she started talking and giving out books to read for children, children would not read at all, right? They said, okay, let me read the books for you, let me read the stories for you. And that's how it happened. When you started reading the stories, children used to come together. And that's when she said, okay, stories is possibly a way in which I can reach children. Now they would not go to school. They would like to come and listen to her for stories, not go to school. Which is when Geeta ji said, okay, what if we can use stories as the center and then do everything that we can with education through stories? And that's how Katha started.
Usually, when we talk about educating kids, mostly people focus on literacy and teaching them how to read or, understand that way. Why did Katha chose stories as the medium to educate and teach them the lessons?
So interesting, you bring the way of literacy. In Katha, we actually switch it the other way around. We actually call it literature to literacy.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Right? So the way the world we have seen is, hey, only if you can read, then you can read to go to literature. But the other way to look about it is, hey, if you love reading stories, if you love talking about stories, in the process of reading, you will learn, you will read, you will learn more. So for us, we have seen for 38 years, this journey from literature to literacy has been very, very useful.
Tell us more about how children take it when they see that stories are being said instead of lessons, maybe. And what are the nuances you see and observe during the work?
All of us, I think it's but natural that we love stories, right? And stories, when you start talking about stories, the children go through multiple things. One, through stories, they go through the lived experiences. The protagonist, for all practical purposes, is themselves. So they don't see it as a threatening way of getting the exams, going into it and writing it. So they be a part of the story. So they end up learning a lot of things beyond the subjects. So what we call Purna Siksha, right?
Mm.
So through the character, they go into learning about kindness, they learn about gender, they learn about equality, they learn about empowerment. So there are many, many other aspects of a story and the dimensions of a story which a normal textbook is not. And children love it. So, in a way, we do believe stories bring about holistic learning and what we call Purna Siksha.
So tell us, how does it work? Is it like you provide books to certain schools, or you have your own education centers, or somebody who doesn't know Katha at all? What would you say? How does it works on the ground?
Okay, Katha works in three areas. One is the content where we make those books. And this is important. Uh, at the end of it, that's the foundation. The books are the foundation for everything that we do, where we make some good quality books, the books that children can love to read, they do read. The second place where we work, and that is called uh, what we call Katha Vilasam, right? Uh, and the second place where we work on is working directly with the children in the communities. What it means is we have a lab school, Katha Lab School in Delhi. Similarly, we work with about 2,500 children uh, in and around Tamil Nadu, where we directly work with children. We take the stories, we actually go through the curriculum which they uh, learn, and uh, grow all the way from K-12, from kindergarten all the way till 12th standard in these situations. Now, the third part of Katha is how do we take this content and the pedagogical approach, which is what we call story pedagogy as an approach to across the world. So, in 2018 onwards, we started something called a 300 million citizens challenge. So, what we did is we took the content and the curriculum design and made it available for hundreds of partners. Today, we have about 270, 300 partners, and we work with about 10,000 teachers. So we take what you have learned and make it available, open source it for larger world, for grassroots partners. When I say partners, these are the people who are working in the community, maybe in Samastipur, or they may be working somewhere in Tirunelveli, or they may be working somewhere in Dahod. Doesn't matter. They are access digitally to the content and the training from Katha for their facilitators or teachers, because of which we are impacting the children. So we reach about close to 500,000 children through this exercise.
Wow, that's great. From the time Katha has started till today, what are the changes you have seen, and what are the patterns, education patterns, learning patterns you have seen change because of the story first approach?
Sometimes I want to say the more we change, more things remain the same, right? So 30 years ago, when we started, we had the same, we had a situation where children would uh, abhor reading, and we were designed as a system to be only uh, meeting one section of the society. And today, India is a lot more literate, a lot more progressive, a lot more higher education, but the primary education system is broken. So,
Mm.
if we were to look at it, 30 years ago, we had all the time in the world, and we fixed the higher education, we fixed the uh, MBAs and the engineering colleges and the degree colleges. But I think somewhere what we did not address is the primary education, which has been outsourced to private sector, right? So to that extent, if 70 years after independence, I don't want to sound pessimistic, but 50% of India cannot read at grade level. And most of us who are sitting out here and talking about it, we are in the second or the third or the fourth generation learners. And there is a good 50% of the children who are not able to read that. So that um, is not something for us to be proud of. And the quicker we fix that issue, the rest of the issue, because they are the foundations, that is the foundation which we have to fix. So to that extent, yes, you can be proud that we have pretty good names across the world who are doing. We are doing very well in the higher education, but primary education is somewhere we need to fix. So that is a policy or a system wise issue. In terms of reading for children itself, uh, a lot has undergone a transformation. I won't say towards good or bad with the digital influx. It is very subject driven. It is a lot more competitive. It is a task based reading today than reading for reading's sake. So, which is also why we are seeing a lot of these mental wellness issues today and a lot more of competition and lesser of grounding. So, we are literate
But we are
to a
not
large
reading.
extent, but are we centered is a question we need to ask ourselves.
Before the interview, we were talking about slow pace reading, and you focus on reading that lets you think about what you read. Can you tell us more about that?
When you talk about learning today, learning has become something that we absorb from the internet. Of course, technology, being a technologist myself, I think you have sources of learning, AI, YouTube's, many other forms of learning. But what has happened in all this is we have focused largely on the video content as a means of learning. Of course, YouTube is the world's greatest university. No, not disputing that. In the process, what has happened is the attention or the ability of the person to read, of a child to read, has come down dramatically. They would rather prefer a 30-second video than a 5-minute book, and it's same for all of us as well. So when you read slow, the child has the ability to internalize what they're reading. Let's take an example of a Harry Potter. They imagine Harry Potter in their heads, the round glasses or the mark on the forehead or the way the cheeks are,
The flying broom.
the flying broom. So this is the imagination which they're building. Now, if you take it out and say, okay, why don't you watch the movie for 3 hours? Of course, you get the movie there, right? But it's the whole of India, 300 million children will remember Harry Potter exactly the same way because that's how it has been shown. So, in a way, why reading is important is it builds the ability of the mind to imagine things, connect the unconnected. They go back. Sometimes things don't fall in place. They go back 3 pages back, 4 pages back, reread, come back and read again. Right? It's cementing those gaps. But a video input today is not able to do that. It just gives you this is what it is. This is the truth. This is the only way it is. So once all the five senses are captured, it becomes very difficult for a child to go back, imagine Harry Potter any other way. So to that extent, when you read slow, when you read on your own, you're building unintentionally something called imagination, your own way of connecting the dots. So to that extent, reading slow helps you do that. Reading fast, yes, great, but the comprehension part of it is we've seen not something that's uh, developing.
There are two things I want to touch upon. You said that reading has become task based, which is so true because I can't remember the last time, especially in school. Now I read because I know the value of reading. But I think back in school, there used to be another subject, another extra book you have to cover in the syllabus. Otherwise, so it became a task. It became a thing that I'll get grades. That's why I have to study. So, read. So, reading for entertainment, I have not seen it for a long, long time that anybody is reading to be entertained, just like we watch movies for entertainment. So, yeah, that's definitely changing. You did actually mention about it, but again, I want to emphasize on that. AI is changing a lot of things. Don't even you have to write to ask anything. You can just ask. Audio things are coming, audio type is coming. Do you think in the future generations, reading will be as relevant as it is today?
Okay, there are three distinct parts of your question,
Yeah.
right? First is reading for joy, reading for meaning. The second part is how the AI is changing it,
Yeah.
and third is reading going to be relevant in the future?
As
Right,
relevant
there are
as
three
yeah.
different parts. Let's go to the first one, right? I think you are spot on when you said reading for joy, reading for meaning is very important. in general, what has happened is not just reading. What I go back and use is we have found we are making today's system, education system, is making remarkable children markable. Children by default are remarkable, but then we want to give those marks, right? Literature, this marks. So I think in the process of making remarkable children markable, I think we are losing a big chunk of things. And reading is an important part of uh, children being imaginative, children being creative, right? So that's I echo what you said on that. Uh, Second part, what you mentioned is about AI itself. See, it would be futile to fight this battle. It will be incorrect to say AI should not be there, right? But having said that, AI is today being replaced with the human thinking. So I don't need to write, AI will write. I don't need to think, AI will think. I don't need to make a presentation, AI will make a presentation. So what has happened because of this, and we see this happening with children when we do something like a Katha National Writers Workshop. The idea is to have children talk about their lived experiences, about their stories, in the process of developing their stories. With the AI coming in last year, what we see is about 30-40% of the children have written the story from AI. Very difficult, very painful for us to reject them, because for us also it is a suspicion. But then when we come into the room, there's a distinct difference between the child who's written their own experiences versus AI. AI gives you the authorship of the content. You can still call it your own, but the ownership of the thought is not coming through. So
That's
when
true.
you start thinking of AI as an author, maybe, but the owner of the story, no. Ultimately, so it just starts showing up very soon. The difference between real and imaginary, right? So I think that is the. So to that extent, if you ask, is reading going to be the third part of your question? Is reading going to be relevant? I think it will continue to be relevant, not because of anything else. I mean, if like Abdul Kalam, Dr. Abdul Kalam shared, see, the more you read, the wider perspectives you get. The wider the perspective, uh, many of your own thoughts gets questioned. Many of your newer things get answered. So in the process, you develop as a leader. So reading is the starting point. And reading is where you're starting to expand your thinking, expand your horizon, start building your character. Uh, Technology does not necessarily build your character, it tells you what to do. But reading is where it all starts.
You mentioned that reading will increase your imagination and a lot of other things you mentioned. Is it the knowledge we are taking from the text that is written, or reading the act itself is important? Because if it's about taking knowledge or guidance, somebody could just go to the leader and talk. That can also be a source of knowledge
Yes.
if we ignore the technology, or maybe listen to a podcast, or maybe listen to TED Talks. But does act of reading plays an important role in this whole picture?
Very good. See, for example, this
Hmm.
is a podcast.
Hmm.
It is my perspective on things, it will be your perspective on things. But in the pursuit of reading, so absolutely important. I'm not saying no, right? Uh, Let people listen to me, also listen to you. And that's the point, is more than that. But when you read, you start questioning because it is at your own pace. Today, Rajesh and Archita are putting their views the way they want it to. The writer is putting the way they want to. But here, because we are going to the next step and next step and next step, next question, probably the reader is not pausing to think. But if I am the one who's flipping the pages, then I have the power to pause and think. No one is watching me. I am not into the next thing. I can read at my own pace. So I think despite technology, reading will continue to have a role. In the pursuit of reading, one discovers themselves. More important, it starts questioning their own assumptions. And I think that is the evolution of human being, anyways. I mean, it sounds philosophical at some point, but I think it's important for a child also. When they start reading many times, weeks later, months later, it comes back and then they start questioning.
Tell us more about Katha. What are the next steps you are planning? And if people want to connect and work with you or be part of your cause, how can they do that?
One, I mentioned about 300 million citizens challenge. So, if you are a grassroots partner or a grassroots organization, we would definitely love to share what we have with you. We open source pretty much a lot of things for that matter. So, we will. Uh, you have your way of working with your community, with your society to make children read, uh, become leaders. So we'll share what we have learned, not with sort of pride, but I'm saying with 38 years, probably we did some things when we reached 12.4 million children. We'll share that with you. And why it helps is also something, why partners come back and share things about themselves to us and why they want us to help. Because most times it is a single teacher helping multiple subjects, teacher single teacher helping multiple classes. They don't have the resources, they don't have the ability to do lesson planning, they don't have the ability to build a curriculum, they don't have the budgets to do a training workshop for a facilitator or a teacher. How do you make stories engaging, how do you make learning engaging? So we can help you there. That's one area if you are in that phase. The second area, if you are a parent or a teacher or a school or a library, please do uh, reach out to us for sharing. Visit our website www.katha.org. So we have all learning books and how to read the books, how to get the books uh, incorporated into your curriculum. Over 175 of our books are recommended by CBSE. So that tells you about the books itself. So read books to your child. It's not about Katha's book, doesn't matter. Read books to your child. Let your child read those books. Uh, Try to get illustrated books to your children if they are younger children. Let them to read slow. And we have a method called active story based learning, which helps the parent connect with the child, the teacher connect with the child towards a holistic energy. Again, that's an area, if you with the books, we can help share with you. And yes, we are in the social space. Obviously, if you want to help, we do have about something like 3,500 girls whom children, out of which 70% of them are girls. So if you want to support us in terms of funding a girl child into education, please reach out to us.
Thank you so much. Thank you for speaking with us and sharing this beautiful journey. It was definitely insightful. I'm sure listeners are more confident on why they need to read and never leave it, because reading does changes something in your brain, and that's very important, whatever it does to you. So keep reading, keep listening, and keep making stories in your head, because that's the imagination that you created and that's unique.
Thank you, Arshita. And for all the listeners, thank you so much. Let's stop making remarkable children markable. Let's make them remarkable again.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.